It's been a while, ladies and gentlemen. We're back again with some more Pokemon Showdown action. Thank you for coming along to this video. My name is Statergy703, the one and only Jolteon of Gaming, and the coach of the Intermelodics, as well as the Ottawa Superiors. And it's been a hot minute. 2.5 years, almost 3 years now since I stopped making videos. Uh, this is the first one in a long time, but it's for a pretty big event. We're going into ASL Season 10. You may remember my videos from Season 3. That was the last time I was actually posting videos in regards to this channel. And it has been a long time coming, but we are back. And we're going to make this season a strong one with a strong start. So I'm just going to be going over my draft recap for Season 10. The draft just ended this past weekend, actually. And I'm very excited to try out some of the new tools in Generation 8. That's right, you heard me. ASL is back into Generation 8, although with some pretty severe caveats, some pretty interesting twists. It's not just a generic Gen 8 league. Of course, it's Draft League. So pretty much anything that isn't an unreleased Legendary or Ubers is allowed. So Megas are back. Megas are back in Generation 8 for ASL Season 10. However, Z moves are banned, and Dynamaxing, of course, is also banned, as it is on Smogon. So we actually have Megas, as well as all moves, so like Pursuit is the big one. Like Pursuit and Hidden Power are the two big ones. They're not allowed in the league. But in any case, we did the same sort of style draft. It's changed a bit over the years, but we're going to get started with our first overall pick. It was between one Mon and another for me, but this thing got so many buffs, I felt like I just couldn't give it up for this season, especially because the other Pokemon, Jirachi, I've used it before. I love it. I love the Pokemon, but there were more replacements. Nothing quite stands up like Hydreigon. I actually drafted Hydreigon in Season 2, but I traded it away after 3 weeks, just because I was sort of trying to economize on typings. However, we have it back for Season 10. At long last, it returns. Nasty Plot, Dragon Dance. It got a new Breaking Swipe, which is a new Dragon type move. 60 power, about 100% accuracy, and lowers attack. This thing is going to be a monster. It's a jack of all trades, and I'm very, very excited to use it. Offensively, it's still an amazing choice Scarfer. It still knows Defog, It's still got everything it has. It's just got even more. So, welcome, Hydreigon. It's a pleasure to have you here. Up next, for our second round pick, I was 5th overall out of 13 coaches. And on the way back, I'm actually shocked that I didn't that this managed to get back to me. I did have plans in mind, but I did shift them over because Jirachi did get sniped from me. But that's all right. Instead, we're gonna pick up Tapu Koko, second round. Oh God, 21st pick of the draft. I pick up Tapu Koko. Still as amazing as ever. One of the few electric types that really doesn't have to rely on HP Ice to be effective. Still a great U-turner, still a decent defogger, still offensively just a monster. So right there, Tapu Koko Hydreigon, we got a pretty amazing offensive core to start off the draft, which is pretty cool. Of course, people are going for some of the newer toys. Galarian Darmanitan was the first overall pick of the draft. Dragapult went first round, stuff like that. But in any case, I kind of kept trying to go for the plan that I had sort of put forward in advance for the draft. And for our third round pick, I ended up picking up the monster that is Volcarona. With heavy duty boots, this thing doesn't need to really carry Roost. I mean, it can if it's a bulky set. But in terms of a sweeping set, it doesn't need to use Roost out of fear or need the support of a Magic Bouncer. I do have 2 Defoggers if I really want to run like a super offensive Life Orb set, but I don't necessarily need to with that item sort of in stow, as well as with HP Rock not being a thing. I can't sort of be checked out with it. that wasn't really much of a threat anyways. But Volcarona is probably the best Quiver Dancer in the game, if not like one of two. I can't even think of like the best competition off the top of my head. Um, so I'm very, very excited to be using this as an offensive core. I think they cover each other decently well, and I will get into my defensive core in my lower tier picks. So right now I'm just working on offense. Next up, uh, I'm picking up Mega Bayonet. I've used Mega Bayonet before, 3 or 4 years ago now. It's been a long, long time. This Pokemon, it's not incredible. I was actually looking to pick up Mega Glalie. However, that did get sniped from me because Moody was not banned because it doesn't boost accuracy or evasion anymore. So that was what I was looking for, but it got sniped at the pick, like the 2 picks before I was going to pick it up. So I sort of had to cover my tracks. Picked up Banette because it was the best of I needed a decent ghost type. Poltegeist actually went undrafted, which would have been my other choice, but just in terms of how the drafts sort of lined up, I was forced to basically pick up Banette. Nothing wrong with that, though. This thing still has a lot of tricks up its sleeve. Pretty crazy good attack stat, Prankster. Cotton Spore, Thunder Wave, Destiny Bond. It can pretty much just be an amazing support mon, and especially with some of the stuff with Baton Pass shenanigans I have later, this thing could actually take some lives if people aren't careful. So it's been a while since I've used Mega Banette. It's a bit of a meme in regards to my experience, but I'm happy to have it back. All right, now for pick number 5. We did end up picking Cloyster for one of our tier 3 Pokemon. Cloyster, obviously, is a lot better, or has been in Gen 8 with Dynamaxing. That isn't really, something that happens it isn't happening anymore in Sword and Shield with no Dynamax is banned on Smogon, of course. However, this thing is still a massive threat. It's also, bulk, like defensive. It can take hits on the defensive side if I really needed to, although, of course, it's pretty much just glass to special attacks. And Steel Link, the ever-present sweeper threat. There's not too many hazers, actually, in the league right now. I mean, Milotic got drafted, but Vaporeon didn't get drafted. I think, Milotic and Weezing and the water starter. Inteleon, those are like the 3 hazers that I really know for sure. There's probably more, but none that are really going to be stopping Cloyster anytime soon. I mean, this thing has been a monster since Gen 5, and it's going to keep being a monster. And even if not, it gives me Spike and Toxic Spikes, which is going to be pretty nice as a utility set down the road. Especially since that I don't have Glalie anymore, an ice type that has spikes. Access to that is pretty cool. And last, in terms of my tier 3s, I did end up picking up Nidoking. Now, Nidoking, of course, Sheer Force, gives me my first Stealth Rocker on the team as well. But Sheer Force just hits like a truck. It has a pretty decent attack stat as well, which is something, I kind of tried to balance between physical and special on this draft. But just the power of poison, especially in today's age, is just super duper threatening. Ground plus poison coverage is super great, and I can run physical or special coverage. So Nidoking, I've used Nidoqueen before, but not Nidoking. So Nidoking, welcome to the team. Very, very excited. All right, now let's get on to the more defensive mons, which were in my lower tiers. So first off, we have Jirachi's replacement, Bronzong. I was actually hoping to get Metagross in tier 3 over Nidoking, but of course Metagross got sniped 3rd round or something, sort of pretty ridiculous. Metagross is pretty fantastic, but it was very, very much a surprise. I got sniped all over this draft, to be honest, but we made it work with the pieces that we got, and we're gonna see how it goes. Bronzong is by no means something to sleep on. This thing just doesn't die. It sponges hits really, really well. Really good defense and special defensive stats. Slow, so it can make use of Gyro Ball in conjunction with Trick Room from Mega Bayonet if I really want to run that. Stealth Rock, Toxic. This thing is just a wall, as walls as go. And I can always play the Mind Game of Heat Proof versus Levitate, which could, if I'm feeling particularly plucky, I don't really mind doing that sometimes. But I've used Bronzong on ladder all the time, but I actually haven't gotten the chance to use it in League. but it's just a solid. It's a staple. It's a super solid defensive mon. To pair with that, here's another mon that I haven't ever used before, but I know is a stable defensive. Covers the weaknesses of Bronzong really well. It's Gastrodon, and of course, because Hidden Power Grass is not a thing in Generation 8, Gastrodon is suddenly a lot more viable. Doesn't have Stealth Rock, so I still only have Nidoking and Bronzong for that honor. That will change with a pick down the road. But even just for right now, Gastrodon, again, covers the weaknesses of Bronzong, and Bronzong covers the weaknesses of it. It's super bulky, reliable recovery, absorbs water types, which really helps some of my offensive Pokemon, and just has just an amazing typing overall. I'm not expecting it to sort of really take lives. It could. I could run offensive Gastrodon. I mean, it has a decent typing, especially in this league, in this sort of format. But it's mostly just to sort of augment my defensive core capabilities, which are going to be improved even further. Not with this Pokemon. I'll go with this first, though. Hitmonlee. I've had Hitmontop, never had Hitmonchan. I think Hitmontop is better defensively, but obviously Hitmonlee I think is better offensively, especially with the Rapid Spin buff, where it gives you +1 speed. Hitmonlee is going to be amazing with Reckless. I mean, it's pretty standard, decent coverage. Poison Jab, Earthquake, High Jump Kick, Bullet Punch, Fake Out with the Unburdened set if I really want to. Stone Edge. It's not, it's nothing to sort of shout home about. Never really has been. But Hitmonlee, especially again as a rapid spinner, is going to be pretty crazy, at least in my opinion, in Generation 8. With that rapid spin boost, I can run Reckless Life Orb, or whatever, and just start taking lives. And I needed a little more physical offense on this team because I did, of course, have Koko, Volcarona, Nidoking, Hydreigon, sort of as my fence, of course. So this helps with Cloyster and Bayonet specifically. So welcome Hitmonlee. I'm very, very excited. I haven't gotten to use you yet, but I'm very excited to use you. All right, this should be the last piece, last major piece of my defensive core, which is Togetic. So, it's just bulky. I needed a fairy type. It was low tier. It was bulky, incredibly cheap, actually. I think it was tier E. This is my Wish Passer. It gets Baton Pass as well, which is pretty crazy with Nasty Plot, although I don't think any of my, my special Pokemon are not really going to need boosting besides Nidoking, which I could, that's still useful, but this is mostly a Wish Passer, very bulky mon. Fairy type to hit those dragon types, flying, so just another ground immunity, which I was in desperate need of. I had 2 levitators, but the flying type can always help, and it can sponge those hits and really not being too much of a threat because of it. It has a great typing. And I mean, if I really want to, I can run Scarf Serene Grace and just have a bit of fun. But the core of Bronzong, Gastrodon, Togetic is going to be incredibly annoying. And that's karma for sniping my picks. I don't know. But I am excited to use Togetic. Out of the Eviolite mons, it's certainly not my least favorite. Alright, second to last pick, we've got Maractus. This is, it's another Spike Setter. I needed a Grass type. I actually do very much like Maractus. It's in the lower tiers. It actually has, not the worst... they're not amazing stats, but they're not the worst stats in the world. And it also has Storm Drain. Or Water Absorb, one of the two. But it kind of augments with Gastrodon, so I can just get more of that water absorption to help with Volcarona and with Nidoking to let them sort of do better. It's also another Spice Setter in case I want Cloyster to be a sweeper. I can just set up Spice with Maractus and let Cloyster set up and sweep. It's probably not going to be doing work, but it would be a pretty cool 7th mon. It's got some interesting, Cotton Garden Grain sets with Leaf Seed Toxic. I could do that. That would be fun. Fun is sort of subjective here, but you know what I mean. But I just like Maractus as a Pokemon. I'm giving it its time in the spotlight, and we'll see how it goes. So welcome, Maractus. And last but not least, this is my only Gen 8 Premier Pokemon in my draft. Despite it being more so a Gen 6 format than a Gen 7 format, I only have one Gen 8 representative, and that is Dubwool. So Debwol, in terms of cheap normal types, I think it has a lot of potential. Sort of up there with, in the likes of Kangaskhan, I think this thing could definitely be tier D. Fluffy for an ability, which obviously just by itself is fantastic. And this is going to be my main baton passer. Like I was talking about with Togetic, that has baton pass, but this thing has Cotton Guard, Swords Dance. I think it has it can be a Curse Sweeper as well. It's got Body Press, so with its massive defense stat and Cotton Guard, and then Body Press, this thing can actually hit very, very hard and just be really bulky and stally and annoying. Its only big weakness is fire, which, I have plenty of coverage on this team as is, which is, I don't know, I'm going to have a lot of fun with this Pokemon. I've been wanting to use it since I've seen it sort of do work just in random battles on Showdown. And I think that it actually kind of works in this team. I think that it has a lot of potential, not only as I think people are going to underestimate its physical capabilities, and I can also, play the mind games in regards to, the passing stats, because that this thing is going to be doing that. It's going to be doing that a lot, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, this team is not finalized. My speed tiers are not exactly fantastic. I do have Prankster on Bayonet, which makes it slightly better, and of course Unburden on Hitmonlee. But I only have 2 Mons that are over 100, and that's Volcarona and Koko. Volcarona is 100, and then Koko is, of course, 130. I was naturally hoping to get Jirachi and Mega Glalie, which are also both, base 100, but things just didn't work out that way, unfortunately. And then, in my upper tiers, I could have had a Poltegeist, which is a Shell Smasher anyway, and then the speed would have been fine. So depending on, I just kind of want to let it ride for the first couple of weeks, see how I like the team, see how it performs. I mean, it has a lot of potential, even if it's not what I wanted specifically. I think my defensive core is going to be pretty, irritating to sort of deal with, depending on the team, and my offensive cores have some breaking potential. But I am going to be, I'm optimistic for the future. I'll be posting replays, obviously post commentary. I don't really want to start getting into it with live commentary, just because that's probably going to be more of a hindrance in the moment than it is a boon at the end of the day. But thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a long time, but we're back for season 10, and we're going to give it our best shot forward. All right. Thank you again, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace out.